How to avoid the NYC transfer tax, who pays, and which exemptions apply. If you're buying or selling real property in New York City, understanding who owes the transfer tax could save you thousands of dollars before closing day. In most Manhattan real estate transactions, the seller is responsible for paying both the NYC real property transfer tax and the New York state-based transfer tax. For certain high-value NYC conveyances, the seller also pays an additional base tax by default, which applies to residential properties with consideration of $3 million or more. The mansion tax, set at 1% for properties selling at $1 million or more, generally defaults to the buyer rather than the seller. New York State's supplemental tax for NYC residential property begins at $2 million, with tiered rates reaching as high as 2.9% for sales at $25 million and above. Because each tax carries a different default payer, buyers and sellers can find themselves unexpectedly liable if the other party fails to pay or qualifies for an exemption. Manhattan new construction buyers should pay special attention to sponsor contracts, which sometimes require the buyer to cover transfer taxes that legally belong to the seller. When a buyer pays a seller's transfer tax obligation, tax authorities treat that payment as additional consideration for the property, triggering a gross-up calculation that can increase the total tax owed. Not every property conveyance triggers a transfer tax, because New York Tax Law Section 1405 and NYC Administrative Code Section 11-2106 outline several recognized exemptions. Qualifying exemptions may include government-related conveyances, security instruments, confirmatory or corrective deeds, bona fide gifts without consideration, and certain changes in the form of ownership. Even when an exemption applies, filing responsibilities can still depend on the parties and the specific transaction structure, so reviewing the transfer tax return before closing remains essential. A skilled real estate lawyer can compare the purchase contract, property type, purchase price, and transfer tax return to confirm exactly how payment responsibility is allocated. At Sishodia PLLC, attorney Natalia Sishodia helps buyers and sellers across New York City understand their transfer tax obligations and identify whether a valid exemption or contract term may reduce their personal cost. Our deed transfers lawyer reviews purchase contracts before closing to confirm how each transfer tax is handled and whether the return accurately reflects the agreed allocation. Contact Sishodia PLLC, located at 600 3rd Avenue, 2nd floor, New York, 10016, United States, by calling 833-616-4646 to schedule your consultation today.